Hello, it is me again. Welcome back to my channel if you've already watched some of my videos. And if you haven't watched any of my videos, then welcome. Those of you that do not know, my name is Alex and I am currently here in South Korea as part of the EPIK program. And in today's video, I'm just going to talk about all of the questions and all the main questions I've been asked whilst being over here in South Korea. I'm going to break this video down into two separate parts. So the first part of it is going to be before you come to Korea, so everything to do with the application process, getting your documents and everything before you get on the plane. And then the second part of this video is the very first kind of steps when you get to Korea and what happens, what kind of things to expect, and any questions that I've been asked regarding this. And I think this video is going to be a two-part series as well, because I've had so many questions regarding life over here in South Korea and just tips and general tricks about EPIK. However, if I spoke about all of the questions that I've been asked in this video, it's going to be an hour long, and girlies, I don't think you want to hear my voice for a good hour. If you have any more questions that I didn't answer in this video, please make sure to drop me a comment down below or on Instagram. I'll gladly get back to you. And of course, if you want to see the second part of this Q&A video of life in Korea and just general questions about my life, everything, then make sure you subscribe as well, because you'll know when a video gets dropped. So here we go. Here's some key questions that I've been asked whilst my time in Korea about before and the very first initial stages of coming to Korea. So section 1.
Oh, what you said? Queen.
Before coming to Korea. So I've got my laptop here. I'm gonna look at my laptop numerous times throughout this video, so please bear in mind, but these are the questions I've been asked. So let's get started. So the first question that I got asked was, what requirements do you need to be a teacher in South Korea? In order to be a teacher over here on an E2 visa in Korea, you need to have a bachelor's degree. So this can be in anything. It doesn't need to be in education or teaching or anything. You just need a 3-year completed bachelor's degree. Furthermore, this bachelor's degree has to be completed, so you can't be on your second year and you've still got a year to go. You physically cannot get your visa without a completed degree, so just make sure that it's completed by the time you apply for your visa, because simply you just won't get it. You also need to be from an English speaking country, and the list is quite short, so you need to either be from Canada, America, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, the UK or South Africa. Even if you are English speaking and you're from places such as Brazil or India or wherever else, for example in Europe, unfortunately you can't be part of the E2 visa. It's really annoying because I know loads of my friends from around the world really want to come over here on an E2 visa and teach English in Korea, but unfortunately these countries you just can't apply for the visa over here in Korea. So I'm sorry to break it to you, you have to be from one of these countries. You also need a criminal record check, so obviously you can't be convicted criminal girlies to be teaching children over here. So you need to have a clean criminal record check, and you also need a health declaration form submitted. So you need to submit any health conditions, any drug usage or anything. And also I've heard horror stories that people have not declared mental health issues such as anxiety or depression or certain medication that they're on. They get to Korea, find out that they've, for example, maybe run out of medication, or they have a anxiety attack or something, and somehow or another their co-teachers have found out, they've submitted it to authorities, and it actually goes against the visa terms and conditions or something like that. And I know it's one of these things that absolutely sucks. I know mental health issues are an absolute completely valid point and thing that people have. However, as part of the E2 visa, just be really careful to make sure you're being honest with any health issues that you have, because you don't want to get into the situation of coming over here to Korea and then something occurs and you actually get your visa revoked and you're gonna have to return back home. So just be careful, girlies, just be careful. Okay, another question that I've had is, how much does it cost to get all your documents together / apostilled? So this kind of varies between person to person. However, on average, my costs came to about £400 for getting all my documents, for getting them apostilled, and then things such as delivery costs and sending all my documents over to Korea. And it came to about £400. And yes, this is a lot of money, so just make sure that you're willing to actually commit to Korea, because you don't want to spend all this money on all these documents and then realize that, oh wait, I don't actually want to go to Korea, because that's just going to be a waste of like a good couple of £100. So make sure you're committed. It's going to cost you a little bit of money, but the investment is totally worth it. And then just going on from that point, someone else asked me, do I have to get my documents apostilled? Yes, you do. So if you don't know what apostilled, or I think that's how you pronounce it, apostilled, I don't know, but yes, you do need to get your documents apostilled. This has to be through some sort of like official scheme or like government facility kind of thing. So basically you have to get like your official documents verified, and it sounds so counterproductive. So things like your DBS check, things like your degree certificate, and at the time when I was applying, I also had to have my birth certificate as well. You've got to like send these off through like a separate company, and you've got to get it like verified by them. But just double check on the requirements, because these things are changing of what you need to get apostilled, things that are absolutely fine without an apostle. So just double check online before you're actually applying, because these things are down to be changed. And another question on apostling is, where can I actually get my documents apostilled? So I went through a company called apostille.org.uk, and they were a little bit more on the expensive side. However, I've worked with them in the past before, and they were like really, really good. I 100% would recommend them. You send off all your documents, they get back to you within like 2 working days, you get your documents back, and it's absolutely like amazing service. I'd 100% recommend them. But like I said, it's a little bit more on the expensive side, but I'll leave a link down below for you to check them out, and you can make up your own mind if you want to use them or not. And then an additional point on this apostilling process, people have asked me as well, like, do you send off your original documents? Like, are you not going to get those back? And you do send off your original documents to get apostilled. You don't send your original documents off to Korea. Like, do not do that. So when you apostle your documents, you can send off, for example, your degree, and then you can request a copy of your degree apostilled version. So they will send you back your original degree, and they will also send back like an apostilled official copy of the version, and this copy is the one that you send to Korea. Do not, whatever you do, send your original copies, because you're just not going to get it back, okay? So another question that I've got asked a lot over here is whether I use a recruiter, whether I went direct with EPIK, and the answer to that question is that I did use a recruiter. I used the recruiter Korean Horizons, and I cannot recommend them enough. Like, they are completely free of charge. You don't pay any money, like upfront, afterwards, anything. You don't pay a single penny towards them. And the main guy that runs it is Alistair, and he is amazing. Like, I can't recommend him enough. Again, I'll leave a link down below for you to check them out. I really found Alistair very useful in terms of being very honest about what they wanted, about the process. He wasn't like afraid to kind of not upset you, but just be very brutally honest, but like, that's not going to work, that's good, and I really appreciate that from him. Also, his communication was absolutely amazing. He'd get back to you within like a couple of hours sometimes, or if not, like within a couple of days, and he really wants you to get to Korea, and he actually gets paid from EPIK to recruit people. So if any recruiter, whether it be Korean Horizons or it be a different recruiter, ever asks you for money, all the recruiters to get to Korea are free, so if they ask you for any money, do not use any money. But Korean Horizons, I would 100% recommend. Oh my god, so another question that I get like literally all the time is, do you have any advice for the interview? So the interview it can be like a very scary process, and like thinking about it and overthinking about it, and it can seem very daunting. But I've done a video about this, like the whole application process. I've done a video about the interview process and like the lesson demonstration section of the interview, so I'll link those up above. However, like my main like couple of points that I think about the interview process is, make sure that you're prepared, because you don't want to go in like not having a clue what you're talking about. Make sure that you print off your application form in front of you, because your recruiter will go through the application form with you. So make sure you have like a pencil to make any changes or anything, and it's just much easier if it's in front of you rather than on like a laptop screen. And finally, like make sure you check your equipment works beforehand, because there is no worse image to portray than rocking up at the time that you're meant to have your interview and your camera doesn't work, or your audio doesn't work, or your battery dies. Like, that is no worse impression to have, and it can obviously jeopardize you in the future. So make sure all your technology and all of it is set up in advance. And a final question on like before coming to Korea is about like the visa process. And someone's asked me, was waiting for the visa the most stressful part? Yes. Yes, it was. Like, I have said this before, but honestly, if you can get through the whole application process of like EPIK and teaching abroad in Korea, you can do anything. Like, EPIK is so easy once you're over here, but the application process, and in particular the visa, oh my God, like, it's so last minute. Like, I got my visa literally like just over a week before I was about to fly, and everyone around me didn't know I was going. I was very much like, oh, I could be going, but I don't actually know if I'm going. But this being said, like, just have faith in the system. There are contingency plans as well, like just in case you don't get your visa in time. And in that moment while you are waiting around, like, it's gonna feel like an absolute like mission to get to Korea, but just have faith. It will come in the post, it will be there on time, and once you can get through this visa process, you will be on a flight to Korea and you'll be so relieved. So yeah, you've got this, girlies. And that nicely brings me on to my second part of this video and this question and answer video, is when you like arrive in Korea. So like the first like couple of things, the first like week or so, when you arrive in Korea and what to expect. So these are questions all to do with that. So the first question that I've got when arriving in Korea is, where will you first go when you arrive in Korea? So for me personally, I arrived with EPIK in February 2022, and I actually had to go to like a 10-day quarantine hotel. And right now, like at the time of filming this, like quarantine isn't a thing, and hopefully, fingers crossed, girlies, it will never be a thing ever again. However, there will be, as when you land in the airport, there will be like a dedicated desk for EPIK, and you show your face there, you sign off your name, they'll put you on a minibus, and they will usher you all the way to one of two orientations. Your orientation completely depends on the location that you've got. So for example, like I was with Daegu, so all of the Daegu people were together with like a bunch of other people in like the southern region of Korea. But that's the very first thing that would happen in the airport. You'll just go to the EPIK desk, they'll take you to the orientation site, and then you get just instructions from then on. Another question that I always get asked as well is like the biggest piece of advice for orientation. So orientation is an amazing thing because if you apply for like Hagwons, you don't get like an orientation, you kind of just get chucked in at the deep end. However, with orientation with EPIK, you actually get like a first-hand experience of like meeting new people. Everybody's in the same boat, you get like your health check done for you, and I really appreciate having orientation. Like, it was a super great time and it super like settled me into Korea. But my biggest piece of advice for orientation is probably just make as many friends as you can, make as many connections as you can, make sure you talk to like all the people that are in your area, but also make sure you like speak to people that are like in different areas as well, because these will come in really handy when, for example, you want to travel to Seoul for the weekend, you want to travel to elsewhere, Jeju or anywhere in Korea. They'll come in really handy for like hitting up like the best kind of spots, accommodation, this kind of thing. So don't just limit yourself to your whole area. And this will also be the time when like people share all our Instagrams and stuff. You're probably getting like over 100 followers because everyone's adding each other on Instagram. But also make sure you join like loads of group chats as well, because there's group chats for everything, whether it be like your local area or your interests. Make sure you join like loads of group chats where all the people are joining orientation, because this will really help you with any questions that you have further down the line. So another question that I often get asked is, do you choose your lesson demonstration at orientation? So your lesson demonstration at orientation, it's like a 15-minute presentation. Please don't get worried about it too much. It's really not that bad. And if you want to see a video on lesson demonstration, I'll link that up above as well, because I made a whole video talking about lesson demonstration. But in terms of choosing a topic, you'll get like a list of elementary, middle and high school like pre-made topics, and usually you just go around the class and like have like a pair choose one topic each. You probably won't get repeats or anything, but there's a big wide range of topics to choose from. I'd probably recommend choosing a topic that you want to like teach. So for example, I really wanted to teach in elementary school, and so I taught an elementary school lesson demonstration. But at this stage, it doesn't really matter what you teach. It's just for like a bit of fun, and it's just to get a bit of experience. And an additional point, like in terms of a question I got asked as well, do you have to do the lesson demonstration alone? No, you do not. So you will be paired with like another co-teacher, and it will help you in terms of like co-teaching and everything, and like vibing off your co-teacher. So no, you won't do this alone. You'll be paired up with someone else. So if you're worried, they're going to be worried as well. So you'll be absolutely fine. I reassure you that. Okay, so a question I also got as well is, why do you choose Daegu as your preference? So Daegu, I chose Daegu as my preference, and I actually got it as my preference as well. So I was super lucky. But I wanted Daegu because I wanted like a big city vibe, but I also wanted like a central location so that I could like travel to here, there, and everywhere within good time, like on my weekends and everything. But I also wanted Daegu because it was kind of like the best of both worlds in terms of big city and rural. And I'm like in the countryside over here in Daegu, so I'm really like appreciative of like living in the mountains, but being like a short hop away from like Daegu and Busan, for example. And also like Daegu for me, it was a bit more of like I want to say like more of a challenging, like authentic environment to be in. In all honesty, like Daegu is a little bit more conservative, and I really want to see Korea from like this perspective. But all in all, like I wasn't really too fussed about where I got. I'm super happy that I'm in Daegu, but I really didn't want anywhere that was like too big, too overwhelming. For example, like Seoul or Busan, like I think that was too much to live in. But at the time, I thought Daegu was perfect for me, and it turned out to be really good. So thanks, Daegu. Okay, another question that I've got is, when do you find out the school you are teaching at? Okay, so it's a really good question, actually. So this is like a stress because you do not know what school or what type of school, like elementary, middle, or high school, that you're teaching at until the very last day of orientation. So it's super stressful, however, but they don't want to tell you like your school before you fly, for example, in case you think you've got like a bad school, you're at a high school but you want to be at an elementary school, because that's just going to mess everything up for them if like half the people drop out, for example. So they tell you on the very last day. You'll usually be in like a room with like all of the people from your area. You'll find out who's close to you, who's got different types of schools and stuff, but you will find out your school on the very last day of orientation. And I have two more questions about moving over here to Korea. The first one is, do you need to know Korean when you move over to Korea? So when I moved over to Korea, I knew the basics of Korean. I managed to learn like Hangul, so like how to read and write Hangul. So I was in quite a fortunate position in terms of that. However, if you just learn the basics of Hangul, you just learn the basic like hello, thank you, yes, no, please, excuse me, all the basics of like Korean, I'm sure you'll be absolutely fine and like managing on just a very basic level to start off with. Like not many people do speak English over here, and it's a very like Korean first country, of course, because it's Korea, what we're talking about. But if you do struggle at all, like things such as Papago are an absolute godsend over here. So if you're using Google Translate, scrap Google Translate, because Papago is like the #1 tool that everybody uses over here. So I definitely recommend getting that before you hop on the plane to Korea. But in terms of knowing Korean, obviously it would be beneficial, but you don't like desperately need it to like survive over here in Korea. And especially your first couple of months, you'll be fine. And the very last question I got asked in terms of like the first couple of weeks in Korea is, when do you get your phone contract sorted? So your phone contract, you can't actually get a Korean SIM card or a phone contract over here if you do not have your ARC card, so your alien registration card. And this will take about like a month to get your ARC card. And then after this month is over, you can then get a phone contract. I would recommend getting a SIM card for when you come over here for like the first month or so, because you can't really survive without like a phone over here in Korea. Obviously Wi-Fi is amazing, but there will be times where you can't connect to Wi-Fi, and if you are in like an emergency situation, it is always good to have some phone signal. I personally use the Trazy website to get my SIM card, so I can actually get it delivered to me in the UK before I came to Korea, and they've got loads of different plans and loads of different like minute options, data options and stuff like that. So I definitely recommend Trazy to go with for getting a SIM card beforehand, because you can't get your SIM card and your SIM contract over here in Korea until about a month afterwards. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this very first part of the question and answer series. I probably definitely haven't mentioned all of the comments that I get, and if you do have any personal comments or anything that I've missed, then please make sure you drop a comment down below, because I'll more than happily help you out. Or if you want to message me on Instagram, I'm more like available there as well, and I'll gladly get back to you over there too. And if you want to get to know more about like life over here in South Korea, or you get to know a bit more about me, my second part of this question and answer video will be coming up very shortly, so make sure you subscribe to get posted when it will get uploaded. So yeah, thanks so much for watching again. I hope you found it useful, and I will catch you next time on this channel. Stay safe. I will see you soon. Bye.